Welcome back to the channel. Your fantasy dad is here today, and we're going to be drafting a MLB Draftkings Best Ball team, and we're going to be doing it for the $20 Slugfest with 600K prize pool. So MLB season's almost upon us, folks. Almost a couple of weeks left, and we're going to be grinding it out for the next 4 to 5 months. Not actually longer than that, about 6 months, 7 months. We'll be grinding it out for best ball for the MLB, and it's kind of fun to see where our teams end up over the summer. Obviously, biggest concerns are usually injuries when it comes to pitchers, and like I said, this in my past videos, the good thing about baseball is there's always a unique term that you learn. In this case, it's the Hamid bone. That's been the injury of du jour of this off season. The Hamid bone, and then you got the common favorites. You got the what's that one where the pitchers usually the ulnar collateral ligament, the UCL tear. I've heard previously the valgus extension or the scapular rotation. Leave it to baseball to kind of create this awesome injuries, things you never heard of. And I'm an athlete, right? So I've played in the past, and I've never heard of most of these injuries that happen. Granted, I didn't play baseball growing up, but I guess the gone are the days where just a pulled hamstring or a ACL. It was kind of dominant in all injuries. But now you got the hook of a hamate fracture, and there's another one. I remember the Quervain something, and so leave it to baseball to kind of come up with creative injury names. I long for the isosceles triangle knee dystrophication. Hopefully it doesn't happen to anybody if it's a real thing. But it's just the baseball injury terminology is something you got to keep up. You're kind of getting ready. People are getting ramped up. Players are getting ramped up, and it's interesting to see, who's going to be able to make it for opening day. Looks like Lindor and Corbin Carroll look like they're on track to play, but even if they don't, it looks like they won't be too far along. And currently, they're starting to kind of come back up in ADP value, but there's still some value to be had with them. Like I said, I'm not scared of targeting them. I feel like it's like an injury that, given that they're kind of on track to play opening day, which means that they can't be too far away. So I would suggest for you to do the same. Don't be scared of the injury risk at this point, given their value in the draft right now and the ADP. Go get them, and I think that they will be potentially a great value as the season goes on. So some of my favorites coming back right now, we've kind of talked about before in the past. Obviously, you want to look for the next Cal Riley. He was one of my favorites last year. And I think, there's Michael Bush, Shea Langeliers, are a couple of players I think that potentially can bounce back. Or not bounce back, but potentially have a season better than last year. But a big bounce back candidate I'm really in love with this draft season is Austin Riley. I really think that given the Braves lineup minus, Jurickson Profar, who decided to indulge in the PEDs once more. Unfortunately for him, he's going to lose out on that hell of a batting lineup. But it looks like we have the Acuna. Looks like he's healthy. Austin Riley, Matt Olson, and you still have Michael Harris. And then you've added in, you have Rookie of the Year from last year, Drake Baldwin. So I think still be a strong lineup, and I think they will be a better team this year. Obviously, their pitching is a little bit suspect. Strider is coming back, hopefully not at the level that he's been at previous years, obviously, but coming from Tommy John, that will be a concern for him. Hopefully he gets ramps up and gets able to come back. Chris Sale's a stud, so he's going to come bring it. And then they're missing Schwellenbach and their young pitcher Waldrop. No real updates on Waldrop right now, so he's going really low in the draft, so there could be potentially a way for him to come back late in the season and also factor into the rotation. So something to kind of look out for. Obviously, Fantasy Dad is back here drafting. If you could like and subscribe, if you enjoy this video at all, please like and subscribe to this channel. Also, leave a comment if you have any things you want to share or anything I can do better. Please feel free to leave a comment as well on the YouTube page. Obviously, NFL free agent frenzy is back. It is in effect right now. A lot of news, a lot of fantasy news that comes through because of these free agent signings. So we'll obviously kind of go through that as I do some more football drafts on my channel. I've started doing some drafts, but I haven't posted any on video. So I will start doing that obviously, hopefully by this week or by next week and get that started because it's always exciting to see kind of like the ADP shift when certain players have kind of moved teams. Some certain individuals are on new teams, but a situation like J.K. Dobbins going really late in drafts right now, but back on the Broncos. And we saw that Sean Payne definitely loves targeting Dobbins with that early down run game and kind of having Harvey fit in. Maybe it was just a one-off because Harvey was a rookie last year, and now that he's kind of gained more experience and kind of gained Payne's trust, maybe he'll be factoring a lot more. But at the same time, like I said, a lot of moving pieces on different teams now. Obviously, the Arizona Cardinals now have become a loaded backfield with Tyler Algier and James Conner. So, some of the shifting, figuring out how those positions are going to play out. Who's the early down runner? Are they just going to shift? Are they going to change or rotate every down or every series? It's a big, it's a big change for that one. So it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. It looks like Bijan's no running back or backup running back of note. So it looks like Bijan is going to be full tilt, full ready to go, and possibly, with Jahmyr Gibbs going to be duking it out with him for that 1 and 2 spot at the beginning of the draft. So, like I said, very interesting. A lot of stuff that's going to be happening in this week. So I'll obviously absorb all the news, get some drafts in before the draft, obviously, and kind of make some assumptions and some predictions on how I think certain situations will play out given some free agent signings. So, but with that, we're talking about baseball today, and we're going to talk about our team here. Just waiting on some of this draft to fill up. Just really slow today, so it's just waiting for that to fill up. But like I said, some great values. I think some sleepers I can talk about right now. If I kind of go through this right now, I really like I said, Corbin Carroll, Lindor. Don't be scared to target them. You got my guarantee, the Charles Barkley guarantee that you're getting a value in that, and they are going to be back sooner than later, and they will definitely be able to help your team. I really like Bo Bichette. I think with Lindor back, with Juan Soto, you also now have Luis Robert and Marcus Semien. I think Bo Bichette is going a lot lower than he should. I think he'll have a really good season as well. A couple of other ones I like is Cole Ragans as a stud pitcher. He's going pretty late. Obviously, a lot of injury concerns with him. It's, can he finish the season? And if he can, then he should not be going at the rank of 64 ADP around there. He definitely should be going in the 40s or 50s. Along with Christopher Sanchez, because as you know, Cole Ragans last year was going that high. Unfortunately, the injuries caught him last season, and he wasn't able to finish it off. So that's another one that I like. I like Josh Naylor as well, part of that loaded Mariners lineup. So you do have a lot of power in that lineup, a lot of oomph in that lineup, and Josh Naylor fits that really well. He did really well, almost 9 fantasy points per game last year, but helps when you're going with Julio Rodriguez, Rosarena, and Riley. So if you fit in there as well, kind of batting cleanup, that really does help. Brandon Nimmo, I don't mind. I think his role is kind of similar from when he was in the Mets. Maybe a little bit worse given the names on that. You still have Seager if he can stay healthy. You still have Langford as well. But at the same time, Nimmo should be kind of the same as last year. Scrolling down a little bit further, I do like Michael Bush. I've kind of already talked about that, so I won't kind of get into that. I love Shea Langoliers as well for 93. Talked about that as well. Dalton Varsho as in 96th for an outfielder. Really good value if he can stay healthy. part of that Toronto lineup. Obviously missing Bo Bichette now, but you still have the same players in there. You still have Vladdy. Springer, if he can stay healthy, is obviously there. Addison Barger will kind of move up in the lineup, and he's one of my sleepers as well. So I love Addison Barger to kind of take over that Bo Bichette role, just batting before in the number 2 spot. And then you got Varsho and Alejandro Kirk, as well. So a couple of names right here in the lower hundreds or early hundreds or lower 90s where you can kind of get some value for an outfielder for Dalton Varsho. Love Trevor Rogers as well as a pitcher. Sometimes I've kind of done a draft where I've taken all hitters and Trevor Rogers my first pitcher taken. So the only concern would be injuries. Injury. He came back from a Tommy John, but it would be an innings limit for him. You might not get those 200 innings that you kind of strive for or dream about. Late at night, he kind of hopefully get 160 if he can stay healthy. But at the same time, he was pretty dominant when he came back yesterday. So you kind of want to, take advantage of that. I love Trent Grisham as well, and Andy Pages as well. He's part of that loaded Dodgers lineup, and he plays it quite a bit. Even though they've added, pieces, he's been steadfast in there, or a mainstay in there. Actually, sorry. He wasn't really great in the playoffs, but I don't think that matters. Regular season is where it kind of counts for us in this best ball situation. And I think with giving time off to all their star players, Andy Pages will play quite a bit. And like I said, he's always going to have a loaded Dodgers lineup for whoever's in there. So like him, Trent Grisham, the same thing. Opener, batting leadoff for the Yankees. So that doesn't hurt when Aaron Judge goes right after you. Mike Judge, let's call everybody. Alan Judge. I don't know what that is. Aaron Judge is going to be going right after, so that's always a good value as well. Trevor Story, I like, part of that good Red Sox lineup. Obviously with him, the concern has always been injuries. Managed to stay healthy last year and decided to put up a really great season. So if he can stay healthy, obviously he's one of my, if he stays healthy, he will smash the team. I like Brandon Woodruff. I think that he had a really good season last year coming back from Tommy John. A little bit, underrated in a sense. I think that if he's able to kind of come back, kind of stay injury free. I know he had a lat concern near the end of the year, so he wasn't able to finish off strong. But I think if he's able to kind of stay healthy, I think Woodruff can potentially get up to those like 18 to 20 fantasy points per game. So I think that Woodruff going this late is definitely a value as your third or fourth pitcher. I love Edwin Cabrera as well. I always like to target pitchers that kind of go from shitty situations to better situations. So Edwin Cabrera really fits that role. Kind of like I'm not saying he's Garrett Crochet, but in the sense where Garrett Crochet went from the White Sox to the Red Sox last year. Look for Edwin Cabrera, who's having a really good spring training as well. So he's doing pretty well on that front as well. And he's moving to the Cubs. Better team, better defense. So I think that Edwin Cabrera, even going kind of late as 135, is someone to target as a pitcher. I love Robbie Ray as well. Put up 170 to 180 innings last year. Came back from Tommy John as well. Did pretty well. Nothing crazy, about 17 to 17 and a half fantasy points per game. But I'll take that, right? I think that, Robbie Ray is someone that, after Logan Webb, show that he can handle the large volume innings. So definitely a great value to have, because if you can get over 170, 180 innings from your fourth to fifth pitcher, especially with Robbie Ray that going that late, definitely somebody that I would definitely target in my drafts. So, well, we are here. We have actually landed on the third spot of the draft. So I haven't really got much of the third spot. And I haven't got much of the first spot either. I've gotten a couple of drafts with number 2, so I was able to kind of grab my boy Aaron, also known as Alan Judge. I don't know why. Sorry, that's just I don't know why I was calling him Alan before, but Aaron Judge. So I've gotten a lot of Aaron Judge in a few drafts, and to be honest, I've been drafting like the 7th and 8th spot usually. So I've been kind of skipping Skubal and taking Schwarber if he falls, and then kind of going back and forth between Julio Rodriguez and Kyle Tucker. A lot more Tucker than Julio at this point. So I think Tucker his ADP was going at number 7, number 8, but it kind of started dropping because he was away on paternity leave for a couple of days from the spring training. And as soon as everyone sees that, you know, the DTD or the out or the questionable, whatever, the little red thing on DraftKings, and everyone kind of shies away. So he starts falling in drafts. So I was able to take advantage of Kyle Tucker. I don't have much of Tatis. Jose Ramirez, I don't have much of it. Ellie De La Cruz, same. I did have been getting Corbin Carroll in the second round as much as I can, especially in that slot where I've been going around 7-8. He's been falling sometimes to me, so definitely been taking Corbin Carroll as well. But I would say my most drafted second rounder would most likely be, I think it's Cal Riley and Vladdy Guerrero. So obviously with Riley, everyone's kind of on the fence. Can he do it again? But like, you can't, you know, what if he's just a great hitter and this is the norm? You know, he's a Pete Alonso or a who's like a Vladdy, right? So that's where he fits in. So in the second round, that's exactly where these guys are going, and that's where you would take them. So I think Cal Riley is definitely a fine pick. Obviously for best ball, you know, in fantasy baseball, where there's like situations where you need to have games played obviously every day. I can't do it. I can't do daily. Daily, even daily fantasy is hard for baseball for me, just to kind of have to do that every day. But fantasy baseball in itself, setting lineups either weekly or daily, that's too much work. So that's why I like best ball. I love tracking the players, love following the players as they go on. But it all goes away when I'm having to set my lineups and just kind of going off of the players I've drafted. So, but yeah, I had the third pick. I took Juan Soto. I don't have any shares of him, so I'm kind of happy that I was able to get Juan Soto here. The benefit of that is because a lot of the Mets go later, so it's nice that I can possibly make a Mets stack here. I'm pretty sure I'll target Lindor in this draft, so I'll try to get him, and then I'll try to get Bo Bichette or Luis Robert. And then Marcus Semien goes really late as well. So you can kind of get like 5 Mets if you really wanted to be one of those guys that's a sicko and kind of go after all the Mets. I mean, you can definitely land them at the as you kind of go through this draft. So somebody I definitely will be targeting, like I said, is Lindor, and then maybe Bo Bichette. And then as you can kind of see, getting Juan Soto is has been rare for me. So I'm kind of excited to kind of have a full Mets lineup. Sorry, just give me a second here as I just want to kind of get through here. And yeah, so let's kind of go through the first round, see how it's going so far. Aaron Judge goes first. It's not a big shocker. Definitely take Judge. If I want some shares of Judge, I don't think it's much of a difference between him and Ohtani. So Ohtani, Soto, Acuna, Witt goes, then Schwarber. Ellie De La Cruz goes pretty early, the first round, 7th overall. He was going first round last year, I remember, but yeah, it goes first round this year and in this draft. And Jose Ramirez as well. So a couple of infielders that kind of go near the end of the first and early second are now in the first round. So Kyle Tucker drops, Julio drops, Skubal drops, Tatis drops, and so who do we have right now? The best available, Paul Skeens, and then we have Corbin Carroll, Riley, and Nick Kurtz. So yeah, a little bit of a change up here in the draft as a couple of infielders go a little bit earlier than normal. So that means Tucker and Rodriguez and Tatis kind of fall a few picks past ADP. So not bad. Probably will be a little bit of an interesting draft. So kind of looking forward to it. So let's see how it goes. So Corbin Carroll goes there. Not bad for guy landed. Skubal, probably one of the best pitchers, maybe the best pitcher in MLB, and then it's Corbin Carroll, who was initially going 5th overall in ADP, so it fell because of the ham and bone injury. So that's not a bad start for Billy Bob, 5-8-3-1, Skubal and Carroll. Nick Kurtz goes right after him, then Vladdy, and then Jackson Churio goes to the Jose Ramirez drafter. So yeah, a couple of outfielders, infielder builds, and a couple of pitcher outfielder builds so far. James Wood goes next, and then the Kyle Schwarber drafter is next. So let's take a look what I'm going to probably be doing. I like Pete Alonso. I like Roman Anthony as well. I think I gotta take this now. I gotta look at how I can do this. So where's Lindor right now? Lindor is 46th ADP. So yeah, it just depends on whether or not I can sneak him in and not, maybe get some value in the 27th and not take him. It's a big risk, so let's see what happens. I probably won't take him on 27th because just some good players available. So I will, yeah, let's take, Gunner or Pete? Ooh, let's take Pete Alonso here. So I'll take Pete Alonso. This would have looked really good if Pete stayed on the Mets, but I'll have to fit some Baltimore Orioles in my lineup here, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like I said, Orioles are kind of similar. Like, obviously Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson kind of go pretty close, so it is manageable to kind of get him on the 24th, 25th, depending on how people draft. You can maybe potentially land him if you have the first pick with, Otani. You can kind of get Alonso and Gunnar, so you kind of have a natural Baltimore stack. But yeah, so we'll see what I do here, and I'll have to take a little break, so I'll just have to be a quick second here. I'll draft my next player, and then I'll be back. So Mookie Betts goes pretty early, and Springer as well, so obviously, yeah, a little bit of a change up here. Roman Anthony was to go right after my pick, so I'm going to take Gunner here. Got lucky. Let's take the Gunner. Let's take the Orioles lineup here. A little bit of stack. And sorry, give me a second and I'll be right back. Apologies. Sorry about that. Obviously, very unprofessional of me to kind of leave in between. Okay, let's see where I left last. I took Gunnar Henderson. Sorry. And then Yamamoto goes right after. So interesting with this guy, goes with two pitchers to start off with, and then Junior Cabanera goes after that, and then Pete Crow, Armstrong, Wyatt Langford, Christopher Sanchez, Jackson Merrill, Riley Green, Cody Bellinger. It was kind of late. And looks like Sanchez kind of went higher than ADP. Matt Olson goes and Chris Sale. So I don't mind this. I don't know, two pitchers that early. Obviously got two studs, Paul Skeens and Chris Sale. So can't hate it. And yeah, he's got Tatis and Matt Olson, so not too bad. But a little bit too many pitchers for me personally, given the injury risk and just like the potential that you can get with other pitchers later on in the draft. So just not my, I guess, favorite way to draft, but kind of makes sense in terms of the name quality that he kind of gets there. School drafters got Carroll, Bellinger, Rosarena, so not too bad as there as well. Jazzy Chisholm goes there. Hunter Brown, goes just before him. And let's see what I'm looking at. I'm obviously looking at Francisco Lindor, so I'll be kind of happy to grab him. But at the same time, I did take two infielders, so I'm kind of worried about that. So it looks like I'll have three infielders to kind of start off with, and then I have a hopefully an ability to get an outfielder as well. I probably will skip pitcher the next two picks, and I'll try to maybe target. Let's see who's available in the 70th and 75th pick. So worked out pretty well here. I will take Francisco Lindor. So kind of waiting on him paid off. I wasn't sniped in any way. Obviously now the concern is I have three infielders and only one outfielder, so I'll probably target an outfielder just because I don't want to run out of outfielders later in the draft. So I will be looking for Taylor Ward to kind of go with my Baltimore stack. It is pretty high heavy, so Bo Bichette goes, so it doesn't kind of leave me. I was kind of worried about having to pick between him and Taylor Ward, but I normally would have gone Taylor Ward just because of the ability to get an outfielder. So as long as Taylor Ward doesn't go to this next drafter, I will take him, and I have a pretty good Baltimore stack going on. So yeah, it worked out pretty well here. So I'll take Taylor Ward as my second outfielder. So let's take a look at the draft board currently right now. So I took Juan Soto as my first pick, and then got Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson my second and third. I took Francisco Lindor. I just couldn't pass up on that value. Like I said, you're getting Lindor that's normally goes in the second round if he was healthy. So I kind of got Lindor to kind of go with Juan Soto. And then I got Taylor Ward. So right now, looking good. 3 Baltimore Orioles and 2 Mets so far. So I have a pretty good stack going on of a couple of offenses I have a lot of the big belief in, as the Orioles have obviously with Alonso, and naturally just a good offense anyways to begin with, adding on Alonso, and then obviously with the Mets, you got Soto and Lindor from last year, and then you had Bo Bichette. So definitely like that start so far in my draft. I definitely will need to now start getting into some pitching, but it's going pretty fast. So as you can see, Brian Wu went right in the beginning of the 5th round. Then Rafael Devers, and I took Taylor Ward, then Bryce Harper, Suarez, Webb, Neto, Gilbert, Reagans goes as well. Manny Machado goes as well. So pitch is going kind of fast than normal. So let's see what I can have available to me. I have pick number 70 and 75. So let's see kind of who's going around that ADP. You got Jacob deGrom, who I'm not really a big fan of. Got Luis Robert. What's going on with him? I think he's probably starting to do maybe spring training. Yeah. He can make his Grapefruit League debut with the Mets on Thursday, so it looks like he's coming in. Man, do I just really stack up on the Mets and Orioles? I could possibly do that with Luis Robert, and then take either Jesus Lazardo or Framber Valdez. I do have a lot of Austin Riley, so I'll kind of skip on this one and try to see if I can make more of my stack. But I'm heavily invested I'm in the Mets and the Orioles business for sure in this draft. So those two I'll probably be kind of end up in the draft. So I'm thinking a lot of players do end up doing this anyways. Just because of looking at the way the ADP is, it seems like they're kind of falling around the same spot I am. So it could be a lot of teams that overlap in terms of having the Baltimore and having the Mets players. So, but at the same time, let's see what if I can land them. It's not too bad. Nolan McLean is there, so that is one of the if he's available, I might take him as my ace of my team. But alas, it doesn't matter. He goes, so I will take Luis. Who do I like? Jesus Lazardo or Framber? Jesus. 188 innings, not bad. The only thing with him is a little bit of a drop off as he went on. So let's take Jesus Lazardo actually for this one. I have quite a bit of Framber as well in other teams, so I don't have much of Jesus. The only worry about him is there's that little bit of inconsistency throughout the season. He had a little bit of an up and down season. I'll kind of show you what I was talking about here. Couple of good starts. Obviously started off the season great, but then kind of fizzled out as the season went on. Obviously a couple of great ones, but a couple of duds as well. I think with him is obviously he's part of a good team with the Phillies. We don't know about Zach Wheeler yet. He looks like he's doing pretty well, so I've been targeting Zach Wheeler because we're getting some positive feedback on his return from injury as well. And he should be able to face the batters pretty soon here, and it might be a month or two out before he starts, but I think definitely a value is getting Zach Wheeler in the 100. I think his IDP is around 100 to 108 or something like that. So definitely a value if he comes back healthy. Obviously, one of the dominant pitchers of the league, but it's always a kind of a risk when he's coming back from injury. So But let's take Luis Robert. Kind of go with our Mets stack. So we're all in the Mets and in the Baltimore Orioles game, guys. We are 3 Mets and 3 Orioles so far. We got Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor as our infielders. And then we got Juan Soto, Taylor Ward, and Luis Robert Jr. Or Robert. Doesn't matter. Take your pick on what you want to do, say. But I'll call him Luis Robert. So yeah, definitely on a stack of the Mets and the Orioles, and we're gonna ride that out as well. So kind of happy with that. You get some of the studs in that lineup for both lineups, batting lineups, a strong batting lineup. So definitely happy with that. I took my first pitcher, was Jesus Lazardo, so happy with that as well. I think I was between him and Framber Valdez. I do have quite a bit of Valdez. I think you're kind of getting the same pitcher. So I don't think you can go wrong picking one or the other. So let's see where I go next in my pick. 94 and 99 ADP. So I do like Dalton Varsho, so I'll probably target Varsho, who's come up quite a bit. I think he was going, his ADP before was like 120th, so he's jumped up 20 spots pretty much in ADP. So definitely like him. And I like Trevor Rogers to kind of as well. So I will probably take those two if the draft kind of falls my way. Yeah, definitely liking him. Gavin Williams isn't too bad. He's had a really, like, his problem is usually command, but as you can see, he had a really good season so far, like as last year, and it's finished off really strong. Some dominant innings there. And should be the ace as well for his lineup. How many innings did he? Yeah, so I got 173 innings. So yeah, he's definitely somebody I can think about as well for mine. Framber's still available, so that's kind of interesting. So I might have to look at that as well. I like Kyle Bradish. The only issue with Kyle Bradish is the number of innings that he might pitch this year, because it looks like the Orioles are going to be kind of conservative with his load. So yeah, a little bit of a surprise as well. And sorry, apologies once more. I will be back. I'll make my picks, but I probably won't be online. So I'll be back in a second. Thank you. Apologies once again. Definitely had some things come up that didn't expect to happen. This is the problem when you kind of go live. Probably should plan out the day in terms of any possible distraction that might come up, but apologies for that. Apologies for the radio silence that was happening in the background there. So yeah, let's get back to my draft. Dalton Varsho kind of went earlier. He went 91st here to this drafter, so I wasn't able to land him. So I kind of went with Trevor Rogers, and then was hoping to get outfielders. I was hoping to get Paez, but he kind of went, so I switched to Dalen Lively. Somebody I don't know, kind of nervous about. Gives me kind of Dylan Cruz vibes, but if, for example, if he's a James Wood, that's even better. So he had a pretty good late year last year as a rookie, so hoping that it kind of get that out of him this year. He takes a step up. Like I said, there's always that risk of him being a Cruz versus a James Wood. So hoping for the James Wood version of this one. So let's kind of go through our team right now. So we have Jesus Lazardo, Trevor Rogers as our pitchers. We have Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor as our infielders. Then we have Juan Soto, Taylor Ward, Luis Robert Jr., and Dalen Lively. So yeah, 2, 3, 4 so far. So let's kind of go through and see where we're going to be pitching next. You have Kevin Gausman, who's always reliable. He's pretty boring, but at the same time, you kind of know what you're getting from him. So it's a little bit of a safety net for you as a drafter. Julio Ramos did pretty well, and then we have Alcantara and Woodruff. So we have another pitching option, so I probably will take a pitcher as well. I like Edwin Cabrera as well. I've kind of talked about that earlier in this when I started this live. So definitely a lot of pitchers here that you can take. I might skip out on the Ramos and maybe take 2 pitchers, because there's, like I said, this is the sweet spot. This is where I love grabbing 2 pitchers in this, like ADP from 100 and like from where Kevin Gosman is, actually even like from where Sonny Gray is, so 114 to all the way to Cabrera. So you have like almost like 10 pitchers that are available. So it's always good to kind of get two of them here, because I think they're really good values for pitchers later in this draft. So like I said, I'm kind of going after Woodruff, Cabrera. I like Alcantara as well. He had a really shitty start because he came back from Tommy John and had a really shitty start to begin the year. But as you can see, started slowly ramping up, started turning it on, and then was dominant by the end of the season. So the last month, about from mid-August to the end of September, as you can see, he was pitching about 7 innings all in all, and about a few wins in there as well. So 5 wins in his like last 8 starts. So definitely somebody that you can, maybe if he's kind of building off of that, will be somebody that you can kind of go after. Let's go with, I'm going to take Alcantara on this one. Like I said, I do like the ability for, like, he's shown that he's healthy. He came back from Tommy John and pitched, I think, almost like, how many innings did he get? 174, right? So if he's able to kind of be healthy again this year, and that number's only going to go up. So if I can get 190 to 200 innings from Alcantara, that's definitely somebody that I'm hoping that I can kind of get the second half version of, the last month version of. So definitely somebody I can look at as my third pitcher that hopefully I can get that 200 innings as well from him. So next up, should I take Ramos? But no, I kind of want to go after a pitcher as well. Like I said, it's a sweet spot. So Kenzie Gore, man, God, he's just such an enigma. Like, I just don't know what to do with him. But let's go with Brandon Woodruff here. I Like I said, I'll kind of go over Brandon Woodruff here. Look at that. Like, he just came back and you know, had a pretty great season so far, barring the injuries. Like, he kind of ramped up, came in July, and then by mid-September, he was, obviously had a lat strain, so I think they closed him down for the rest of the season. So, but in that limited time, he was able to put up 64 innings, 83 strikeouts, 7 wins out of 12 games. So definitely somebody that, if he is able to stay healthy throughout the year, and you kind of get at that Alcantara, like, maybe won't have that shitty start like Alcantara did, but is able to kind of stay consistent. He was putting up 21.4 fantasy points per game. So if you get, like, I don't know, like 20 starts from him, even in that line, like, kind of get that range, 20 to 25 starts, that's definitely somebody that's a great value this late in the draft. So definitely like me some Woodruff. So we got some early, because I saw that Wilson Contreras went pretty early. Like, he's been going later in the draft, so I just want to see which guy took him. I kind of saw him in the yeah. So this draft right here, Coca-Cola taking Brandon Lowe, Wilson Contreras pretty early. Like, not bad picks. Like, I wouldn't say they're like, oh, really bad, but yeah, like a little bit of surprise. This drafter, I don't know if his rankings are updated, because I think he took Kirby pretty early as well. So I don't know if this guy's his rankings are just messed up, or I don't know what's going on, but he takes him pretty early. Even Cedane Rafaela, I do like taking him as well. He goes pretty early because I know he's going around the 150s. So I think this guy's he's in outfielder desperate mode. He only has 3 so far: Churio, Michael Harris, and Rafaela. So I think it's probably just a panic drafter, noticing that he doesn't have many options for the outfield. I like Willier Abreu as well as Chris Bubic as a pitcher. Glasnow's fallen quite a bit. Yandy's been falling because of that injury. So, sore left hand. So a little bit of concern for players there. So I think he's been falling. Dylan Cruz. Speak of Dylan Cruz, um, yeah, just like he was supposed to be like really good. That was the expectation last year when I remember doing best ball drafts, and he went pretty early and just had a really disappointing year. Like not too bad, but I guess when you're picking him that early in the third or fourth that he was going to go. No, actually, he was going third, fourth. Maybe he's going to go fifth or sixth. But early enough to kind of like as your third outfielder, fourth outfielder, you're kind of expecting more. So wasn't able to deliver. So that was kind of a disappointing pick last year. So I probably won't go for him this year. Let's take consistency with Robbie Ray as well. So he's going to be my fifth pitcher. Taking Robbie Ray, like I was talking about before early in this video as well. Had a shitty like end to the season, like not really good. Did pretty well throughout the season, but then kind of fell off in the last half. So yeah, a little bit of a risk with him, but he was able to put up 180 innings. So that's something I'm hoping that kind of build up. He's 1 year removed from his Tommy John. So last year was his first year back. So yeah, hoping that I can kind of get something from Robbie Ray, a little bit better than last year, obviously. So I'll probably go with Willier Abreu as well. Should play every day. Good lineup in that Boston Red Sox lineup. So let's go with him as my fifth outfielder. Will Warren's kind of interesting. He's been having a pretty good training camp. Just kind of unsure as to how that's going to play out in terms of when Garrett Cole comes back and Carlos Rodon. Either him or Luis Gale will probably have to make some room. But definitely somebody that if his spring training ways, these guys spring training going, and he can kind of carry that over to the season. Definitely somebody that can stick around in that Yankees rotation. So yeah, a bit of an interesting pick. Quite early, I think. I think you can get Will Warren pretty late, but like what is it? What is his ADP? Yeah, 224, like pretty early. I think it's that same guy. Yeah, like yeah, so I think it's Jose Siriano. Like, yeah, his rankings are messed up in some way. Um, yeah, because he's making some picks way before ADP and guys he could probably get if he wanted to. Like, he could have got Wilson Contreras even like I think in the 14th round. So yeah, definitely somebody that's um, taking the bottom half in the first half of his draft. So let's kind of go through our team here real quickly. Here we have 5 pitchers, we have 3 infielders, and we have 5 outfielders. I really feel comfortable having only 3 infielders right now because I have 3 good ones with Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, and Lindor. So I'm okay for infielders right now. I do believe my pitchers right now are Jesus Lazardo, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara, and then I have Brandon Woodruff and Robbie Ray. So a little bit of risk with Woodruff and Ray. I'm really hoping that they're able to kind of come back. A couple of my sleepers this year for pitchers, so I definitely like them too. But like I said, health is always a concern, and maybe like I'm hoping that a second year from away from a Tommy John surgery kind of gives them the boost that they need. And then my outfielders right now are Juan Soto, Taylor Ward, Luis Robert, and Willier Abreu and Dalen Lyle. So a little bit of not too confident about my outfielders right now. Like I'm okay with obviously Juan Soto and Taylor Ward, but I'm kind of worried about Luis Robert. Obviously, he's fine, and you're hoping that as he kind of moves into the Mets lineup, he'll kind of unleash that potential that he's always had. So. Probably gonna target Chris Bubic here as my 6th pitcher. I definitely like him. Yeah, let's take Bubic here. as my sixth pitcher. Like he's probably definitely like the concern is that the health. Sorry, a little bit of technical difficulties here. I'm not totally sure what's going on my computer. But sorry about that. I had to make my picks and I just realized I wasn't even on. So definitely got some silence. So I'll make sure I edit that video before I put it out there. But yeah, I went with Chris Bubic as my sixth pitcher. Definitely like the upside with him. Obviously a bit of a concern, obviously with injury risk again with his pitchers, but I guess if I can stay healthy, if they stay healthy, they will smash pitchers lineup, I guess, for this one. I really like Chris Bubic for that. I took Alec Burleson. I know he's a pretty boring pick. You know what you get with him, but you know I got him 2 rounds past ADP as my sixth outfielder, so I'll take him because the guys I'm going to take around that area are going to be one-offs anyways. Like you're probably taking TJ Friedl. I really like Chase DeLauder. So given my infielders right now, like I have 3 strong ones and I have my outfielders are kind of sketchy. I might take a 7th outfielder and then have 7 pitchers, maybe 6 infielders and then 7 outfielders to kind of offset that risk of the not having the strongest outfielders that I like. Like to be honest, like a couple of them went earlier than expected. Like I like Rafaela, and then maybe I took an extra pitcher with Robbie Ray. That could have possibly, or even Woodruff, where I might have taken another outfielder. So, but I think with Lindor and then Gunnar Henderson falling, I kind of took him over Langford. So that's probably why I'm kind of falling short of my outfielders right now. That I feel like I don't have the strongest bunch. So I will take a 7th outfielder, and maybe, like I said, leave it at 6 infielders, and then take 7 pitchers. So I certainly have okay on that because I do have 6 right now, so I'm okay with the pitchers I have, and I can maybe wait for a late one. So a couple of infielders I do like. I like Drake Baldwin, as I said, part of the Braves lineup, rookie of the year last year, showed he belonged, and I think that he's going to have a good spot in that Braves lineup. So definitely somebody I like as a young hitter. And obviously with Profar gone now, I think his spot is a lot more safer. So I think definitely be able to target him as well. I like JJ Weatherholt as well. I think it's a good, I think he's also a good pick as well. But I like Chase DeLauder as well. So it comes down to outfielders. Like I said, you kind of want to take your outfielders early because you have not that many available as you kind of get close to the end here. So definitely want to have somebody that you definitely want 6, I would say, before where I am right now, 100, like the 16th round. You definitely want to have 6, just because, like I said, it gets kind of bare and you don't get many choices after that. So sorry, kind of came up pretty quick here. Let's see here. What am I going to go with? So I'll go with Drake Baldwin as well as my 4th infielder as well. As you know, I have a really big situation where I'm drafting quite a bit of Drake Baldwin. So going to go down with that sword there. So go with him there. I've talked about Brendan Donovan. I love Donovan because he's going to be part of that Seattle Mariners lineup, batting leadoff. So definitely want somebody that you can that fits in there, just because of the potential runs and he's really good at getting on base. So definitely somebody that you want to target as you get closer to the end of your drafts as an infielder. I love Brendan Donovan for this team and for his situation as well. Yeah, let's take Chase DeLauder as well. So like I said, I want the 7th outfielder, and I know that even after that, the only outfielders I really trust would be Willie Castro. He's part of the Rockies. Nothing to write home about. Tyler O'Neill is somebody that potentially is something you can target because I did have the Orioles lineup, but at the same time, With him is a lot of injury risk, and didn't really have a great year last year, so I'm not somebody that I'm really a big fan of. Um, so I went with Chase, hoping that yeah, 7 outfielders are good enough for this team. Take a look at some pitchers, because I think this draft is more pitchers. So I like Shane Baz, I like Aaron Nola. Joe Musgrove is one of my sleepers as well. Coming back from Tommy John, innings limit, so he should be good. Yeah, he should be fine. Hopefully, but even if he has a slow year or not too great as a seventh pitcher, it's not too bad. So we are approaching the end here, pretty close to. So a lot of the pitchers I like are gone, but Joe Musgrove is still available. The couple of other pitchers I like late in drafts that you can definitely target are Braxton Ashcraft from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Gonna get a chance to start as well, and I like Reynaldo Lopez. Gonna be back in the rotation. They have injuries right now, so he's gonna have a spot secured. Definitely had a not a memorable season last year. Only made one start. I think then he was out because of injury. So it should be okay now. Has a clean bill of health. So definitely somebody I like to target. So gonna probably go with infielder first before a pitcher. So I know Joe Musgrove's pretty close to here, but I want to get Weatherholt if I can. I definitely think he's gonna play every day in that on that great in quotation marks lineup of the St. Louis Cardinals. But like I said, I think that definitely there's a path for him to do well this year. He's hits pretty hard, and like I said, the opportunity is there for him to play and get many at bats. So I think that's something that you can target later in the drafts, as especially right now as my fifth infielder. And I'm hoping that he has a good year. Guys come out of nowhere, bit of a Nick Kurtz situation here, hopefully. But definitely would take the chance on Weatherholt. Looks pretty good in spring training as well. Don't want to get too caught up in that, obviously, but it doesn't hurt that he's doing pretty well as well, facing some major league pitching, at least in the to begin off with. So definitely happy with that pick. And if there's anything that doesn't go wrong here, I will be taking Brendan Donovan, one of my favorite picks, probably my most exposed player this draft season. He's not very exciting, but he's in a very great situation in that Mariners lineup. So definitely like Brendan Donovan, especially for best ball. You know what you're going to kind of get. You're going to get hits and runs and the possible, a little bit of RBIs, but at the same time, you know what you're going to get, some standard points when you need it. So Brendan Donovan is somebody that gets on base quite well. Like I said, not going to be in the home runs or RBI departments, but for hits and runs, definitely moving on to from St. Louis onto the Mariners is a pretty big jump and pretty good for your fantasy team. So let's look back and look at our team so far. We're on our last pick now. I'll be coming around. Jesus Lazardo, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara are our pitchers. I'll go ahead and go back at Jesus Lazardo, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara, Brandon Woodruff, Robbie Ray, Chris Bubic, and making my seventh pitcher pick pretty soon here. My infielders are Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor. and Drake Baldwin, JJ Weatherholt, and Brendan Donovan. So a little bit of hopefully upside on with Baldwin and Weatherholt and the younger players. So hopefully I get some upside on them. And my outfielders right now are Juan Soto, Taylor Ward, Luis Robert Jr., Willer Abreu, Alec Burleson, and Chase DeLauder. I think I missed somebody. Dalen Lilly. Yeah, a lot of youth on this team. You got Dalen, you got Baldwin, you got DeLauder, you got Weatherholt as well. So a lot of youth. I'm taking a little bit of a stand with rookies in the Slugfest. So hopefully that pays off. That's maybe the thing you kind of need to kind of, like make your team unique. Taking some young players, mix them some veterans, obviously with the top heavy team. But if a couple of these guys go off this year and make the jump or improve, definitely be able to help advance. And obviously, like I said, so many entries in the Slugfest. You kind of want to have a little bit of uniqueness to a team. You need to have a couple of sleepers that kind of go off, especially later in the draft. So my hope is that some of the younger players I have, like Chase or DeLauder or Weatherholt, kind of go off, and that kind of helps the team progress as we kind of go into the draft. So so we're looking at my last pick for pitcher. Ashcraft, he's supposed to be part of the lineup for Pittsburgh this year and starting and in the rotation. So definitely a little bit kind of nervous about him. Just trying to take a look at roster resource on Fangraphs, and got him pitching about 150 innings, which isn't too bad. What about Lopez? Lopez looks like he's gonna be 144. So I think I might take the risk with Ashcraft. I know it's the Pirates, but it looks like they're kind of better this year in terms of their team. They've added some veterans, and their lineup should be look better. You obviously have Paul Skeen, so it kind of helps, but definitely don't mind Ashcraft. But I don't know, Reynaldo, Lopez looks good too. So who should it be? Let's go with Ashcraft. Let's take a little bit of a risk. Like I said, this is mostly a pitcher sleeper kind of a team. So went with Braxton, Ashcraft. If he can kind of fits in as my seventh pitcher. I was in between him and Reynaldo Lopez, so I think it's pretty close to call right now at this point. So I went with Ashcraft to see how that goes. So just to kind of go over my team one last time before I leave for today. We got Jesus Lazardo, Trevor Rogers, Sandy Alcantara, and then we have Brandon Woodruff, Robbie Ray, Chris Bubic, and Braxton Ashcraft. And then we have for infielders Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Francisco Lindor, Drake Baldwin, JJ Weatherholt, and Brendan Donovan. I went with 6 infielders, and my 7 outfielders are Juan Soto, Taylor Ward, Luis Robert Jr., Dalen Lilly, Willer Abreu, Alec Burleson, Chase DeLauder is my 7th. So definitely took some risk with some players at the end there for my infielders and outfielders, but hoping that one of the couple of these rookies are able to, or like their second year players, for example, for Baldwin, takes that jump and definitely get some value out of them, especially that late in the draft. So once again, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for listening. If you're watching this after the fact, I apologize for the delays in between the video. I'll kind of edit the videos, get those silences out, and then show you the team. But definitely, like I said, I named some pitching sleepers that I do like in this draft, so I'll definitely let you kind of go through it. Let me know what you think. Make a comment. Please like and subscribe if you can. Helps me a ton. Definitely want to, as I wrap up best ball season for MLB, moving into football, kind of gives me a good start as I can kind of get that started as well. So if you like my stuff for baseball, I'm way more knowledgeable about football. Not to brag or anything, but obviously I don't know baseball as much as football. So if there's anything about football, you'll definitely appreciate the videos, hopefully as well, as I draft through Underdog and Draftkings for fantasy football. Other than that, take care. Have a great night. And if this is if it helps you in any way, I'm glad. Enjoy the best ball season. Take care.